정상빈!
Oh, they scored! It's Grant who's got the goal! From the free kick, and we're heading for extra time now, surely.
Domingo! It is 2-0, and that now surely seals the K-League title for John Buckland Motors.
You're listening to the K-League United podcast, proud partner of Football Nation Radio.
Hello, annyeonghaseyo. Welcome to a special Saturday edition of the K-League United podcast. I'm Matthew Binns, and joining me from the Riverside in Bangkok, it's Ryan Walters. Ryan, how are you doing?
Oh, it's a great day. It's a great day today, Matthew.
I can imagine. I imagine you've been celebrating all evening after Jeonnam Dragons. Well, let's just start opening day victory in the Champions League.
Comfortable win. I was in no way nervous throughout. I don't know, about 87 minutes, I would say. The nerves were shaken a bit, but well, we'll touch on K-League karaoke later of what I've been singing this morning, thanks to you. Not that I'm going to sing it. It's enough. I think it's enough for people that I'm sitting outside in this braggadocious setting. But I mean, when in Bangkok, you just gotta.
I was going to say, tell us a little bit about where you are right now. Are you in the hotel, or are you gone for a stroll for this today's podcast?
Both. I really wanted to do a poolside one, but then if there are kids chilling in the pool in the background, I feel weird live streaming with kids in the pool.
Also, nobody wants to see you in your swimming trunks like doing this.
Well, spoiler alert: I'm going swimming after this. The trunks are on. No, I'm next to the river here.
Oh, nice.
So this is like a little pavilion where luckily the pigeons that were hanging out here earlier that were not happy that I showed up for this, they were freaking out. They've calmed right down. They're ready for the show. They're excited for ACL. But yeah, this is just like a little pavilion next to the pool at the hotel.
Oh, very nice. Well, as you can see, I've been left in the K-League United outpost. Still holed up in Seoul and watching from afar. And watching from afar, I did last night as K-League teams, they got underway in the opening day for the AFC Champions League East groups. Western groups have already been kicking off earlier in the week, haven't they? But yeah, we had 3 games yesterday. Ulsan Hyundai kicked things off against Kawasaki Frontale, before being followed up by Daegu, who played Shandong Taishan. Suddenly forgot for a second then. And then in the evening, as we've already alluded to, your beloved Jeonnam Dragons, the mighty Jeonnam Dragons, as I am contractually obliged to say in this hosting chair, as they took on United City. We're going to be going through all 3 games this afternoon, this morning. We're in a weird time difference conundrum here.
It's still morning for me, yes.
It is still morning, yes.
For another 15 minutes before I go. I found a curry shop nearby. Life is good in Bangkok. Life is good in Bangkok today. Just saying.
Well, okay. Well, I hope we don't lose you to Bangkok. I hope that you'll be back at some point. But yeah. So we're going to be going through all 3 of those, and then we're going to look ahead quickly just to John Buck and Sydney, which is kicking off this evening. So let's get straight to it. The first game of the evening was Kawasaki Frontale versus Ulsan Hyundai. That's J-League champions Kawasaki Frontale versus forever nearly champions Ulsan Hyundai. Oh, well, get it in.
Had to get it in, didn't you?
Well, I've only got a season left of being able to say it by the looks of things as it's going. But yes, did you catch this game, Ryan, at all? I knew you were around the place.
Yeah, I actually the first half of this game was lovely because I finally found the air-conditioned press conference room at BG Stadium, as we call it for AFC Champions League purposes, Leo Stadium, as it's known to many others. Yeah, I did catch a lot of this game. I did have to get into position and start sweating for the second half. But I did watch quite a bit of this live, and then obviously caught up on it today. I saw the highlights live last night while it was happening, and then rewatched it this morning. I think if you look at the game and you look at how it was played, I think a draw was a fair result. But Ulsan really should have won this one. What's fair and what ends up happening in the end are two different things. And I think Ulsan should have started this group with a win, which would have been massive, to start Group I. I have to keep remembering which groups these are. To start Group I, but I mean, to start with Kawasaki, this is obviously the toughest match for them.
Yeah.
I mean, these are two teams that I don't think anybody would scoff at, potentially representing the East in the final. These are two tremendous teams. And so to have that opportunity to go out there and win that first one and then not be able to follow through with it, not great.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it all as well. I thought Ulsan had controlled the tempo very well in the first half. I thought they made possession quite well in that half. They got the goal 22 minutes in. It was Leonardo again, continuing what has been a terrific start to the K-League, carrying that over onto the continent. And it was a ball in from deep from Park Young-woo. He had dropped back to firing across. Leonardo, he controlled it. There was some debate whether it touched his arm. It would have been harsh if it was given for a handball. I don't think so.
Yeah.
And he held off Kawasaki captain Shogo Taniguchi, and he managed to slot it low into the far corner. 1-0. Ulsan looked like they had a grip on things, but second half, Kawasaki, they showed why they are the team to be feared, one of the teams to be feared in this competition. Cho Hyun-woo, he had 3 fantastic saves, I think, and it's just a shame that it was his mistake in the 93rd minute. So he just actually, coincidentally, just performed another excellent save to force the corner. Then, under no pressure, he got his footing wrong and tried to go for the catch, fluffed it. Ball landed at the feet of Shintaro Kurumaya and converted it 1-1 final score.
I mean, this is one of those ones where I'm always saying, stop punching the damn ball. This is one where maybe he should have punched it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's one of those ones where is the training of punching all the time, and I'm never gonna back down from this hill, but like I don't know how he goes for that and doesn't get it. And it's one of those ones where, maybe this is why K-League keepers are trained to just punch, because in that instance, it would have been much better to just clear that thing. I mean, it's all circumstantial, right? If this is in the 15th minute, then yeah, go ahead and go for that catch. But it's the 93rd minute. If you can just punch that thing clear, you're done and dusted. You got 3 points to start a group against the toughest team. It's one of those things where Cho Hyun-woo, we obviously love him. He's obviously showed his capabilities in this match. Like you say, he had a fantastic save to force this corner. But this might be why we don't see him starting many games for the national team, because he's just got some of these mistakes in there every now and again. And this one, yeah, it does feel harsh because he did play a really great game. But he just can't be making those mistakes.
Yeah, manager Hong Myung-bo naturally defended him in the post-match, saying that even national team goalkeepers can make mistakes. And yeah, he's right. It's just a shame that it's cost Ulsan 2 points there. And like you said, probably as a whole, a fair result, but to lose it so harshly like that in the final minute, Ulsan will definitely be feeling that this is an opportunity missed, perhaps. But yeah, looking at the stats as well, like Kawasaki, it was quite balanced after the first half, but by the end of the match, Ulsan had only got 4 shots away, only 2 on target. Kawasaki had ran up to 13 by the end, and possession more or less straight down the middle, 49.9, 50.1. So, yeah.
It's time to just release Park Chu-young from kickoff and just get the job done.
Yeah, I did, on a tactical aspect, I did think Park Young-woo, I thought he played well. I think he did very well for the assist as well. I was a bit surprised Amano came off so early, changed up for Lee Chung-young in the early into the second half, I felt, and I don't know whether that was an entirely wise move given how things played out. But also get another chance to get 3 points on Monday when they go up against Johor Darul Tazim, who themselves beat Guangzhou FC 5-0 yesterday. So still to play for Ulsan there and to take control of the group.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, good for JDT to get off to a win, and I'm sure we'll touch on this when we talk about Daegu. But what's the point of these CSL teams even being here? What's the point?
Yeah, well, exactly, and we'll go straight into Daegu actually while we're here.
Sure.
So Daegu FC, they followed up in their group. They were versing the Chinese champions Shandong Taishan, but you would have been forgiven for thinking, is this the best that China can offer? Because as you've alluded to, China, they've sent the reserve squads. For anyone who didn't know, this is due to the Chinese government's COVID policy. They have a very strict COVID policy over there at the moment, still 3-week quarantine upon return. So the Chinese Super League sides have sent their reserve squads. Shanghai Port have not even sent anyone. They've withdrawn from the competition. So yeah, it was very much a youthful side taking on Daegu, and it was probably an ideal opponent for Daegu, not just in terms of the versing the reserve squad, but Daegu have actually had a bit of difficulty in the K-League of late, 1 point in the last 4. Cecina's still injured. He's on his way back. He's hoping to feature in these group matches. Perfect start, really, for them. Yeah. So, yeah, Daegu lined up in a 3-5-2. They rested quite a few players. They brought back everyone's favourite screaming goalkeeper, Che Yong-gun, just in case you think the Chinese sides were not going to suffer enough in this competition. Yeah, it was hard going. I forgot. You become blissfully unaware of it after a while. You forget and you think, oh, was he really that bad? oh
yes.
Yeah. I bet you're glad you've not chosen that stadium to be camped at for this competition.
I almost did go to Buriram, but no.
Yeah. No. And, well, yeah. Danger and damage to your ears averted. But Daegu, they ran out 7-0 winners. Let's just get to it. They ran out 7-0 winners. Lee Kun-ho with the opener. It was a tap in from a lovely low cross from Daegu's 19-year-old Hwang Jae-won. Then in an what was turning to an embarrassing night for quite a few goalkeepers. It was an embarrassing mishap for Guangzhou FC, but embarrassing night as well for the Shandong keeper Cao Zheng when he slipped controlling a pass back and Zeka ran on, collects it, takes on the scrambling defenders and converts, and then 10 minutes later he's got a second, this time converting a lovely pass, and we'll just keep going through. Hong Chul got on the score sheet second half, Bruno Lamas, Zheng Tian, and then Zeka got his hat-trick with the 7th goal with a delightful chip to give Daegu the best possible start in this competition.
Yeah, and apologies for the lovely breeze coming off of the river here. I don't know if that's being picked up. Anyway, yeah, you and I talked about this a little bit last night in the group chat. There's really not a ton to say about this game for Daegu. This is essentially a training match. I think where it does help, though, is that, like you said, you can get some 19-year-olds like Hwang Jae-won that's going out there and getting an assist. You can get Zika getting a hat trick. That confidence is going to go up. I mean, obviously they're aware of who they're facing, and I don't think it'll go to their head too much, but I do think that it's always nice to get started with a win. I don't care who you're facing, and I don't think Daegu cares who they're facing. If you get started with a win, that's good. And if you can get this many people on the score sheet, get that confidence up, that's worthwhile. But I mean, like I was saying, I just, what's the point? Last year it was a situation of like, okay, we're still very much mid-pandemic. They can't send their senior squads. Understandable. Like, yes, these are trying times that we're living in. And obviously we're not out of the woods yet. I'm having to sit 30 meters away from anybody to be out here without a mask on right now. We're not out of the woods yet, but it is a situation where, we saw what the A-League teams had to sacrifice last year, and that was a sacrifice because of the coefficients, and a lot of A-League teams are probably going to have to be playing an AFC Cup now, which, is a competition near and dear to my heart, but that was a sacrifice that they had to make, and they didn't send their kids. They took the competition seriously, and they didn't do that. And then this year, we see these CSL teams for the second year in a row just making up the numbers, and what's the point? I mean, and now we've also, like you said, we got Port that withdrew. So now results against 4th place teams don't matter. Those are eliminated when we're talking about the 3 best 2nd place teams. So really, what are we doing? Hopefully this isn't the case next year, but it is one where it's just disappointing seeing this happen for a second year in a row where, you feel bad for the kids because nobody likes losing 7-0.
Yep.
And then
I mean,
it's degrading the competition because we're playing 6 matches per group. And you're telling me this was a game for Daegu? Really?
yeah, it's not benefiting the Chinese players themselves either. They're coming out to get thrashed. What are they actually learning from that yesterday? I don't think. It's difficult for me. I've obviously defended John Buck in the past for sending a reduced sub bench and stuff, but I mean, this isn't.
It's completely different.
Yeah, this is
when we were talking about, and J League and K League teams have both done this, but like when J League squads were doing well in the group and they had a midweek trip to Australia, and they didn't send everybody. I don't have a problem with that. That's however the manager wants to rotate their squad, and then that's advantage to the Australian team or whatever team they're visiting, right?
Yeah.
This is a condensed group stage where and these teams know they're going to go out there and just get smacked for 5, 6, 7, 8. We saw 9 goals go in a match last year. We're going to again this year. It makes, I think the biggest issue for me is it's coming at a time when the competition's expanding, and that should be exciting. It's great seeing Lion City Sailors in here. They didn't have a good go against Urawa, but as to be expected sometimes. And today we get July going from Vietnam. It's exciting seeing these teams in there, but then it looks Mickey Mouse when you've got these 6, 7, 8, 9-0 results. It's disappointing. Again, trying times. It's hopefully something we don't see next year.
Hopefully not. We were hopefully a team you'll be hoping to see again next year because they've started well. They've started well yesterday, and who knows? But yeah, we're going to move on to John and Dragons. But first, we're going to have a quick break. Here we go.
Fans, we want to hear from you. You're encouraged to email KLU at info@kleagueunited.com or tweet at KLeague United with any questions, comments or reactions. Or ask directly during one of our live shows.
Hello, welcome back to the K-League United podcast, K-League United live show. Don't know whether it's even going to make it out as a podcast. Hoping it will. I'm Matthew Binns, king of the segue. You can decide that. Yeah, I'm king of the segue after that previous transition. My word, I'm out of practice at this. You're normally in this seat, not me. And there you are, sunning it up down there. Oh.
I'm in the shade, man. It's too hot to be in the sun today. Dude, it's been 37 degrees here with, I think the humidity is 7,000%.
Yeah, but speaking of humidity, it was a very warm night last night as well on the live chat. How was the game then? Let's just get into it.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. I mean, because for folks watching now and for folks listening, I know everybody listened to our pre-match chat, which we will be trying to do more of. Obviously, that's something that we haven't been able to do in K-League because 2 of us can't go to stadiums together anymore. But we'll be trying to do more of those throughout the group stage while I'm here. The night itself was very hot. It was very, very hot. And I think that showed for both of these teams, really. Especially in the second half. But you and I talked pregame that I thought the Dragons needed to come out and they needed to really try to own this game in the first 10 to 15 minutes, and they just didn't. They set up in the same way that they set up in K-League. And speaking of setting up the way that you set up in K-League, I think it took the Dragons about 20 minutes to realize that this was not a K-League ref. They weren't going to get all of the calls that they get in K-League. And you could see, I want to say there were about 10 different times that they went down thinking that they were going to get the foul that they get in K2, and they didn't. That was a little disappointing. I think you've got to know that going into a continental competition that you have to play differently. But to me, what was more disappointing was just this obsession with possession for possession's sake. And talked a little bit about this in the post-match press conference with Jun Kyung Jun, just like what was the game plan going into the first half. And yeah, I mean, he was just straight up said possession's important, and the more you have the ball, the more chances you can create. But it started out technically, I actually didn't even see the formation that they lined up in. I just had the team sheet with them in a line. So I don't know what the team sheet said, but they were playing 5 at the back for the first 10 minutes against United City. And, you know, again, no offense to United City, but they had a domestic cup competition that they played in. Last night I was saying no competitive games. I forgot they did have a cup competition, but I think that was 5 or 6 games, something like that. And so you're going to come out and you're going to sit back and say, oh, just don't concede in the first 5 to 10 minutes. You got to go out there and you've got to smack this team in the mouth. You've got to dictate the tempo. And they didn't. And they almost paid. I mean, credit to City. I thought that they played really well. They seem to have a more solid game plan in the first half. And again, in the first 15 minutes as well, they came out and they attacked. I thought that they did a really good job when they had the ball. I was shocked at halftime with the possession stats because it felt like United City had more of the ball just because of what they were doing when they did have it. You know, in the end, yeah, the Dragons had, I want to say it was maybe 60% at halftime, something like that, because they just pass it around with 3 at the back, 5 at the back, and just plodding, slow movement going forward. It was really, really disappointing first half. Obviously, that changed in the second half, though.
Well, yeah, it did, and it's well. Would you like us to talk us through the crowning moment of that match?
Oh, would I?
Or would you like to sing it?
Not publicly. Let me take you back to Bangkok 2022 last night. No, I mean, I think things did change a lot in the second half for the Dragons. I think they came out with more intent in the second half. And despite what Jung Kyung-jun said post-match, I think it was the team's goal to get to halftime 0-0, which I think is a mistake. I think that's great when you're facing Melbourne City and when you're facing BG, 2 teams that were well up for it last night. And I'll also say both United City and Melbourne City, I don't know if they didn't get a lot of sleep last night or what, but they were quite grumpy. So when those two face off, I guarantee you there's a red card coming on Monday because those teams were feisty as all get out. But the second half of the Dragons, I thought there was a lot more intent moving forward. I do think that that's when their game plan actually started to come into place. There were a couple of substitutions around the 55th minute mark that I think just injected more energy more than anything else. And I think, I don't know if you can hear that boat going by.
No,
sorry.
I can, yeah.
I made a joke before we came on. I won't do it now that we're on the internet.
No.
Anyway.
It's Saturday afternoon.
It's a family show. That's an inside joke that people don't get. Sorry, folks. Anyway, it really didn't feel like there was going to be a goal coming in the first half, whereas I think in the second half, it did feel like there was going to be a goal eventually. I will say the Dragons really need to work on set pieces. They literally threw the ball away about 3 or 4 times last night. Just terrible throw-ins. And it was one of those things where it looked like they were going to be their own worst enemy in the second half. I think in the first half, United City played a really good, compact, attacking game. I think the second half, they were starting to think, oh, if we can get a point out of this, that's a good start to the group. And so I think they played slightly more reserved in the second half, whereas that did allow the Dragons to kind of get moving forward. But Junham still didn't create as many chances as I would have liked for them to. But cometh the hour, cometh the man, Leonard Polana, friend of the show, we should say, 1 interview, 1 goal in ACL. Kawinky dink, I think not. Came up in the 87th minute. It was one of those plays where I think Junham was trying to be very, very deliberate in the build-up in the first half, and there just wasn't enough off-the-ball movement for that. And in the second half, they started hoofing it and just some long runs down the wing, which is why Polana was just exhausted by the time this goal went in. I mean, you could see in his celebration, it's more relief that he's almost done running around than anything else. But it was a long ball over the top, a couple of headers that found him, and just a smooth finish. Just one touch finish right past the keeper to the far post from close in. And that's what he's here for. That's what he was brought in for. That's what the Dragons have been lacking in the league, is that clinical finisher. And there were a couple of chances earlier in the game where I think people were taking too many touches. I thought Sato had another really good game. He was a workhorse in the midfield. I think he could have done a little bit better with the chances that he had, though. A little hesitant with the ball at his feet in the box. So hopefully that's something else that they can work on. But I mean, it was a bullet dodged. It really was, because starting this group with a 0-0 draw, I just don't think that would have been good confidence-wise, especially because I know how many of the Dragons players and staff were there for the first game. I mean, we were sitting next to each other and chatting a little bit during the first game. City and Melbourne City, I have to keep saying Melbourne City and United City because there are two cities in this group. Melbourne City and BG looked good. They looked good. They both, I think the Dragons will be happy with that game because there were plenty of chances to exploit both defenses that were exposed. But I would also be nervous. I am nervous going into Monday having to face BG, just because they just looked more sure of what they were doing. Whereas again, Junham, it was very surprising that they just didn't seem to have a game plan going forward in this game. And that's not going to be good enough against BG and against Melbourne City. So hopefully they can figure out how they want to attack these teams. If it's on the counter, great, that's fine. But they've got to figure that out and start moving forward with more authority. But you'd think we didn't win.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems resoundingly negative. You're top of the group.
Top of the group. Top of the group. Yeah. It should have been a game that they won more comfortably, but they didn't. But we did get a win. The first ever K-League 2 team playing in Champions League starts with a win. Yeah, there shouldn't be anything to complain about in that regard, but concerns.
Understandably so. And yeah, you have got BG Pathum United on Monday evening in front of a crowd, which will also get to Junham get to display their true. I can't think of the word.
Oh,
but yeah,
I will say there was there are fans allowed in right now. There were 1,000 people at the second game last night. I think they were all in the west stand below where I was sitting. I couldn't see most of them, but there were about 6 Korean fans, and I say Korean fans because they weren't Junham fans, because most of the match was just the away end with like these 2 or 3 dudes just shouting Korea, and the home end just shouting Philippines back and forth at each other. And I was like, okay, whatever. Yeah. I'm here for it. It's fine. Let's do this.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm moving, staying in the Honam region, in Korea anyway. We're moving up to Jeonbuk, who are playing tonight. They're playing Sydney FC. And Jeonbuk, they've travelled out midweek, travelled out without a few regular faces. Jeonbuk will be without Songbom Kun, that's goalkeeper Songbom Kun. They will be out right back. Eong, Hong Jong Ho is also not there. Koo Jia Rong not there. Kim Min Hwan not there, and Gustavo. Those all out with COVID. Can potentially turn up next week, providing they can get a negative test in time. But yeah, so Jeonbuk, the players have barely had any personal time since landing on Wednesday. They've had to make adjustments in the squad as well for this upcoming match tonight. We've had to make adjustments to our own schedule as well, because as some people noted, there was one team very absent from that player interview podcast, and we did have to we had to postpone an interview with Songbom Kun, which is a shame, really, but we'll hopefully get him on later in the season if Jeonbuk make it to the knockouts. And the question is if, because they have got a slightly difficult group, although Sydney might not be something for them to worry about too much given Sydney's form. Sydney are currently 7th in the A-League, an unfamiliar 7th for Sydney, obviously, given their dominance of the league in recent years. The manager, Steve Corrigan, he's been quite inflexible. Well, that's according to Josh Parrish anyway. If you go back to our preview podcast, he was quick to note the aging squad that Sydney have. They've got Ninkovic, Bobo, and Alex Wilkinson, former John Book player Alex Wilkinson. They're all at the age of 37, while Adam Lafonda is still playing regularly at the age of 35. So it's a core unit there that just they should really be rotating out, but they're still very reliant on these players. And also the manager, he seems to have a bit of a similar issue to Kim Sang-shik in terms of being able to get the most creativity out of the players. He seems to, as highlighted by Josh in that episode, he mentioned how Max Burgess and Ninkovic, they tend to alternate or replace one another. The manager can't seem to get them both in the squad at the same time. But Max Burgess was highlighted as the player to watch. But for John Book, well, they're going to have to make some changes themselves for tonight. I think, obviously, with Songbom Kungan, Ibom Su, this is his moment to shine. He's made his return to John Book, replacing his brother. And this is why he's been signed. He's been signed to be a backup keeper and be a safe pair of hands when called upon. So Ibom Su in net. Kim Sang-shik's been playing a 3-5-2 in recent weeks. It's got him 3 wins within 7 days. So John Book up to 4th in the league table now. All that pessimism we had in a couple of pods ago, that's seemingly vanished.
Yes, we.
Yes,
all
we.
Of us.
But it might be more difficult for them tonight. Kim Jin-soo will likely be in the centre with Chae Bo-kyung and Park Jin-sop. Kim Sang-shik's been playing a full-back as a centre-back in these last 3 games. It has been Lee-yong until the weekend where he played Kim Jin-soo there. I expect very similar backline to the game that started against Songnam. Central midfield, Paek Sung-ho and Kim Jin-kyu seem nailed on to start. It's a question of how attacking does Kim Sang-shik want to go. Could start Ryo Jae-mun and have another defensive midfielder in there, but he could also go slightly attacking. I'm hoping he's going to be picking Lee Sung-gi, but it could very well just rely on Kim Bo-kyung there as well, because given the form that Kim Bo-kyung's been in, it makes sense not to utilize him. Out on the wing, I'm expecting Kunimoto, Moon Sol-min, or Barrow, depending where he wants to play Moon. He could play Moon up top with Ilyachenko, but those 4 will be the main attacking threats on the wing and up top. So it's still a strong squad for John Book. I don't think I think most K-League sides would still love a lineup like that, but it's not their strongest. And given the fragile form that John Book have been in of recent, they probably wouldn't want to. Obviously, don't want to get a loss, but getting a loss after just finding some winning form would certainly knock any confidence, especially with games like Yokohama F. Marinos in the group still yet to play. But yeah,
it's a weird one. I mean, again, talk about the times that we're living in. But this is what this team is built for. This is why they have so much depth. And I think, when you originally broke the news about the COVID outbreak and then put the alternate starting 11 out there, like you say, I think that alternate starting 11 is a team that would challenge for a K-League title. That's still a pretty good team. And Ibom Su is perfectly capable between the sticks. I think he's going to do a fine job back there. And look, Sydney's a team that they're all over the place right now. So 1 win in 3 games, but that 1 win was 5-0. So, who knows how they're going to come out. It's great seeing the Australian teams back in this competition after last year off, as we were saying earlier. But, I mean, we're not going to do a pre-match chat for this one because the inside of my hotel room is not as exciting. I say hotel room. I found a lovely little apartment to stay in, actually. Oh, it's nice. Yeah, I like it. Anyway. I mean, I'm just never coming back, guys. I'm just here now. I just live here now. How are you feeling ahead of tonight? Do you think this will be a win for John Book?
I mean, I definitely feel that's the 11 they're going to use. Maybe Kim Sang-shik's got something else up the sleeves. Maybe he'll go conservative again and go back to what he knows, goes back to a fallback. But it seems strange to drop a winning formula after he seems to have got the wins back on the board. I think it's Sydney's. I would have, I'm happy they're not versing Yokohama first, is what I would say.
Sure.
Sydney, they should be able to get something in. I believe John Book have never lost to an A-League opponent. And this Sydney side, given the form they're in, it's going to be, it could continue. I'm just hoping it's not going to be like because the last time I remember them facing Sydney, they obviously faced Sydney at the end of 2020, but the group was already over by then. But the first time they versed Sydney in 2020, or away down in Sydney, it was a really kind of slow and boring match, and in the end it finished 2-2. So I'm hoping it's just not going to be a draw. I hope Jeonbuk can. I mean, I hope they can win, obviously. I reckon they might just edge it, but it'll be 1-0. I don't think it's going to be the most entertaining of affairs.
Sure. Well, as James McKeon has said in the comments here, they're playing at the same time as Spurs. So probably,
yeah.
I think we know which match most folks in Korea will be watching at that time. But hey, double screen it. We used to be able to do it with the quad box. Thanks, Naver, for getting rid of that. But yeah, get a couple of screens going and keep an eye on it. But
I don't need to keep an eye on Tottenham. Thank you very much. We will be able to keep an eye on Tottenham though later this summer, but
that's true. That's a pod for another time. I don't think
that's
I'll be
a
there
pod for another
time.
That's
you guys.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. So yeah, that's Team K League versus Tottenham in the summer, but we'll talk about that another time. But yeah. So Jeonbuk Sydney on tonight, 11 p.m. Korean Standard Time. So people tune into that if Son Heung-min isn't doing the business at Tottenham. I'm sure we'll be doing fine.
Just watch both. Just watch
both. No. I don't want people comparing. Like, don't give them the lie. Don't give them like at the same time.
Here is a filet mignon or spam. Which would you choose? That's right. Jeonbuk's spam to me, Matthew.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
There are a couple of interesting games on earlier in ACL if people do want to watch those. Obviously, in Group H, Hongang Jalai will be playing the hosts. They're going to be welcoming Yokohama F. Marinos. So that's my Japanese team going in that game. So we'll be watching that one. But curious to see how that one goes. I think that one obviously should be a win for Yokohama. But if folks want to keep an eye on Jeonbuk's competition, I think that's a good one. And then the living legend, Dejan Damjanovic, is getting started at the same time for Kichi as they face Shanghai United. And there's only one match in Group J. Obviously, because Shanghai Port dropped out. So there are a couple of earlier games that people want to tune in. Those will be kicking off at it's going to be 6 o'clock here, so 8 o'clock in Korea. Time zones are fun.
Time zones, yeah.
Time zones are fun.
And speaking of Kichi, we also had Dejan Damjanovic on the previous podcast. So if you haven't listened to our most recent episode, go back. We've got Dejan on there, as well as representatives from Daegu in Cecina. We've got representatives from Jeonnam Dragons, your beloved Jeonnam Dragons, in Nikkei Kacharava and Kacharava, sorry, and Leonard Pilana. And also we have Ulsan's Vako on there. So tune into that. It was a really good pod. That's hosted by Paul. So go back and listen. And well, to end the pod, Ryan seems to have frozen, just leaving me stranded here all alone. So if you want to follow us, you can do so on all social media platforms at K-League United. I am stuck looking at Ryan's smiling face here as I say this. And if you want to support us, you can do so at patreon.com. On there, you can find a number of articles, interviews, podcast extras. Paul has recently uploaded a piece on goalkeepers so far at the stage. And Ryan's back. He's moving again.
I'm back. Hey, guys. My pocket Wi-Fi might have given out on me.
All right.
I'll keep that to hand next time.
Yeah, well, that's it. So yeah, you can please support us over on Patreon. Tiers start $1, $3, and $5 tiers are available, and that's about it. So I'll let you get back to whatever you'll be doing today, Ryan, in lovely Bangkok. So
yeah,
catch you soon, and yeah, enjoy, everyone, and talk to you later.
정조선 공격 복격기 김신우